Hey everybody, it's your boy Duel, back with another video. Today we'll be taking a look at episode 16 of the Spectacular Spider-Man series, and this episode is Reinforcement. And before we get in, I just want to say I'm really excited about this episode. This episode did some things that I really wanted. This episode was written by Andrew Robinson and directed by Mike Goguen. I hope I said that right. Spidey's starting off the holiday strong by taking down some baddies in a billiard club. And it turns out he's looking for somebody named Blackie Gaston because I guess Mysterio's sec went missing after he captured him, and he didn't know where it ended up at. So, at first, Blackie acts all tough until a bearded man starts to walk through the door, and turns out this bearded man is like a customer of Blackie's, and so Spider-Man's like, oh well, I'll just stick around all day if you don't want to give me what I want. And so he's like, all right. So Mysterio is working for somebody, hiring some cons and crooks and construction workers, and while they're talking, the bearded man that I just mentioned earlier is leaving. Spidey, of course, chases after him, and it turns out the guy's name is Patch, and just to point this out, the man has one eye. So even Peter makes the observation like, oh, well, I guess your parents had some good insight. You know what I mean? So Patch says that the one that he's looking for is called the Master Planner, and that's all he knows. Move over to the Tinkerer, where he's watching this interaction between Spider-Man and Patch go down, and he tells the Master Planner that Spider-Man is closing in. MP tells Tink to round up the usual suspects and destroy him. And those usual suspects are Kraven, Doc Ock, Mysterio, Sandman, Rhino, Vulture, and Electro. And then the episode starts. Okay, so now we're at the prison, where the guards are checking in on the inmates, only to find out that Toombs and Beck are actually not there. They're holograms, and actually Beck is a dummy, so they're basically fake copies of themselves, respectively. And it appears that some of the Sinister Goons are getting therapy, where the therapist interjects to Cletus Cassidy, and this is a nice little Easter egg, because it's Cletus, aka Carnage, but not yet. But he's just there. He's just in prison. He's nobody yet, but he's there. So I think it's cool, like a good Leo pointing finger moment, So anyway, she interrupts because it was Max's turn. I can't talk today. Holy cow! It was Max's turn to speak, and Max yells like, "That's not my name. My name is Electro. I don't need a regular name, right, Doc Ock?" And Otto says that he wants no association with that name. He doesn't want to be associated with the violence. He wants nothing to do with it. That is until Kraven shows up to break them out. Kraven frees Electro, and then Electro shocks the therapist, and then they dip. And it's like, damn, dude, that therapist was just trying to help you out, and you just shock her for no reason? Like, that's so mean, man. Well, what the heck? We're brought back to Peter, where it seems that him and the gang are ice skating, and Kenny is sliding on his butt and is about to jump into Peter, and then Peter does a backflip over Kenny, and Gloria's like, wow, Peter, that was amazing. And after this happens, Peter's like, oh, I guess I better not look too good. So then he fakes a fall and falls on his face. Liz shows up to offer Peter some quote-unquote lessons, and then Gwen is on the sideline watching this interaction. And of course she's not happy about it, nor should be. God, I can't talk today. Flash also tries to skate with his injury, which I do not know why you would attempt this. I know Flash is dumb, but come on, man. What writers, what are you doing? Are you just trying to give him a reason to be there? Just sit on the sideline and watch. What the heck are you doing, bud? So, as soon as Flash shows up, Liz immediately dishes Peter to go tend to Flash. Peter interrupts their conversation for his lesson from Liz, and Liz basically tells Pete off. Can't you see I'm busy trying to tend to Flash, being a simp? The Tinkerer is gathering the Sinister Six to meet with the Master Planner. MP says that he was hoping to set up the Sinister Seven, but Six will have to do. And Sandman's like, well, how is this new Six going to do any better than the last time they teamed up? Which actually is a pretty good point from Sandman. MP says, and to no one's shock, that he has a plan. We're back with the gang at the ice rink, where Pete tries to talk to Gwen, but she is not too pleased to see Peter at all. Gwen says that she's not Pete's first choice, and she's definitely not going to be the second, and pretty much blows him off right there. MJ strolls up and she says that, hey, you're skating on thin ice. And I swear to God, I thought she was going to say Tiger in this scene, but she doesn't. She doesn't say it. Just want to clarify, she does not say Tiger, okay? Just want to get that out of the way. She explains that Peter is one of her favorite guys, which is this leaves room to be desired for future seasons. But Pete begins to think about how pretty MJ is, and he basically goes into a daze like, whoa, she's so pretty. Look at her. She's gorgeous. And she snaps her fingers and says that, you distract way too easily, bud. Pete needs to figure out what he wants and then focus on it. And I agree with that statement more than anybody while watching this show. Holy cow. He needs to just stick to it, decide what he wants. Does he want Liz? Does he want Gwen? It's like, I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, and it seems like I've hit the nail on the head. Is that Peter, and I understand it. I'm not like trying to crap on our boy here, but he just pays attention to whichever pretty girl is going to start paying attention to him first. And I think most men probably do that. But anyways, I digress. So point stands, right? So as soon as that interaction happens, he's like, well, maybe you could help me through this all. Like, I'm just feeling so down in the dumps, you know? I need your help. And she sighs, and then she's like, you know what? I will sort this with you if you go get me some hot cocoa, pretty much. And so he basically runs off. And as soon as he runs off, Vulture is above the rink, and he's looking for Spidey. And he's talking to Craven over like his Bluetooth headset. And Craven's like, I'm telling you, I can smell Spider. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. And Vulture claims there's no sign of Spider-Man, so I don't really know what you're talking about. Master Planner tells them to deploy Team 1, and that will bring the do-gooder out in the open. Electro pops up, and he's scaring everyone away, while Pete burns his tongue on hot cocoa. While this is happening, it basically startles him, somebody runs into him, I think, and he gets hot cocoa on him that way. And so Vulture and Electro tangle with our boy until Electro shocks the gang, except for Flash, who's immune because he's got a cast on. So this fight starts pretty quickly. Peter jumps away and into the Spider-Man suit, into action, and he's already starting to fight with these guys, and they're already starting to cause a bunch of trouble. Spidey quickly takes down Vulture, and he hangs him on the side of an Xmas tree that's like in the middle of the rink. Where Electro's like, don't worry, bud, I gotcha. But as soon as Electro tries to help, Vulture's like, no, you idiot, I don't need help. It's fine. But it's too late. Electro shoots the tree, and then the tree falls down. The tree is starting to fall, though, and while this is happening, Liz is about to be crushed by it, but Flash comes out of nowhere, pushes Liz out of the way, and, he's about to get crushed by the tree, too. But then Spidey saves him in the nick of time. Gwen asks a scared MJ where Peter is in a panic, followed by a quick transition to Spidey finding Electro on the road. And our boy is thankful that they're no longer on the ice, but they still need to take them down. Chasing Spidey to a tire shop where they tried to fight over some tires, Electro gets himself melted in a tire trap after they go back and forth for a little bit. Peter's chucking some tires at him, and Electro's blocking them here and there. But eventually, Spidey realizes that, oh, you're melting the tires, and it's non-conductive. So quickly, Electro gets taken down, and once it's too late, Electro is pretty mad, but he's done for. Things are looking up for Spidey, except for the fact that he looks pretty exhausted, and he's talking to himself, and he's like, man, I don't think I ever actually took on the Sinister Six by myself. It was all the symbiote, which he was right. He didn't do it by himself. But give yourself some more credit, bud. Things are looking up, though, right? But he's obviously exhausted. Sam and Rhino, they show up, as I mentioned, and as they're fighting, Sandy and Rhino quickly get the upper hand, knocking Spider-Boy around and around. Spidey says, happy every holiday in the book. Trying to reason with them, like, hey guys, like, it's Christmas Eve, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, can we just, like, put our differences aside for one night? And they both immediately just say, nope, and I thought that was really funny. Rhino slams our red and blue hero into the ground over and over, like he's Loki from the Avengers, and he looks almost passed out. That is until Sandman says he wants to unmask him. Peter's like, well, I can't have that, so that kind of wakes him up back into action. And he says that he needs to focus and quickly use the fire hydrant to subvert some Sandman, and also get Rhino above the ice, which lands where he lands. I can't talk. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. He also gets Rhino above the ice rink where he stands, and he hands him a scuba tank. I cannot get that line out. He hands him a scuba tank and basically is like, hey, you're going to need this because he's going to fall into the water because he's above ice, Rhino, realizing what's about to happen, he's like, I hate you so much. And now, getting snow on Sandman, Spidey realizes that he's starting to freeze up, and oh, okay, I'll just keep throwing snow at him until he crystallizes. So he does this, and then Sandman freezes up, and then Spidey calls out to Shocker and Ock. He's like, Shocker, Ock, I know you're out there. Let's just get this over with. So he looks up towards like top of a building, and it's like Shocker and Ock are standing there, in which we, the audience, know that they're not there. So it's like, what's going on here? So he webs towards them, and he's like, man, I gotta get this stuff taken care of. I gotta figure out what's going on with me and all the ladies. And as soon as he's about to hit them, it's a hologram. And Mysterio, I believe, punches him. But no, actually, I'm sorry. It wasn't Mysterio. It was Kraven. I'm sorry. I am totally off my game today. It was Kraven. It was Kraven. It was Kraven. So anyway, Kraven punches him. He's flying off the building, and then as he's flying, Mysterio also arrives. And Spider-Man's like, man, I'm totally drained, and like I mentioned earlier, he never has taken down the Sinister Six before, so this is really difficult for him. He's really struggling. He's like, what's he gonna do? They move the fight to the mall, where Spidey chucks perfume at Kraven's eyes, and this gets Kraven off his back for a little bit. Then Mysterio tags in. Mysterio pulls some slick moves on Spidey until they get to the second floor of the mall, where he plants a bomb. And it's like a decoy of himself, of Mysterio, I mean, not Spidey. And so at first Spider-Man doesn't know this, but also Kraven doesn't know this, so they're not very good at communicating. Unaware of this, Kraven hops next to Spidey where the bomb is, and Mysterio's like, no, you idiot, and then the bomb explodes, basically knocking out Kraven. So Spidey wakes up and he webs up Kraven. And then, after that, he saves Santa from that same bomb. He actually eventually goes to take down Mysterio. And he gets to Mysterio. I think he breaks his helmet, and he's like, who's the master planner? I know he was behind all this. And as this is happening, the cops arrive to the mall, and Mysterio's webbed up. And so let me go back and rewind a little bit by saying that when he's talking to Mysterio, it looks like he's going to give the answer, but I'm guessing either he does or he doesn't, because it immediately just transitions to Mysterio being webbed up, and the cops come to arrest him. So I mean, I think that's interesting because I don't know if he actually told him. I think it's implied that he didn't tell him, and that's why I was like, okay, well, I'm done with you. I'm just going to throw you to the cops, and you can do whatever you want to do. So that's my take on that. But back at the ring, MJ is trying to ensure that Gwen... Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I have butchered this episode. This is just terrible. Back at the rink, MJ is trying to ensure Gwen that Peter is fine until Pete shows up with Coco. And Pete's about to tell Gwen how unfocused he's been. But before that, Gwen's like, where have you been? Like, I was so worried. Wait a minute, I'm mad at you. Blah! And that's until the cops arrive before he can actually tell her what has been going on and, how he's been feeling, and he's getting his shit together. Master Planner says the extraction was a success, and by that he means extracting all of the villains that Peter defeated, except for Mysterio, which we'll talk about here in a minute. The therapist is then gaslighting Otto into thinking that nobody's gonna harm him, and he's just sitting there like, oh my god, this isn't right. And shortly after that, his robotic arms show up, and they take him away. Like, they literally bust into the building and grab him, which I don't know how they're powered, but whatever. It's a cartoon, I guess. And he's just like, no! And he's very upset about it. Back home, where Peter's watching the news with Aunt May, back at his house, the news say that everyone went missing except for Mysterio, who got taken into custody, and Peter's just like gritting his teeth like, oh, I hope it's not the fake one this time. And I agree, that'd be really dumb if they got the fake one twice. Like, how do you do that, right? So then he hands Aunt May a gift, where it's a photo of him, May, and Ben. And that really is the end of the episode. So I know I kind of went through. I feel like I went through this episode. What's our time at here? Let me look here. We are at okay. We're at 14 minutes. Not too bad. It's still a little quicker than the usual episode, but that's okay. That's all right. I've had some coffee this morning, so that could be part of it. But anyways, my initial thoughts on the episode is that I really like this episode in the fact that two things happen. One, Peter actually gets to take on the Sinister Six by himself, and it seems that even without the symbiote, he's able to do this. And it seems like the common denominator is that anytime that you can get Peter separated from the Sinister Six, he can take them down like two and one, right? He's pretty good at doing that. Maybe three. He could probably handle three at once. But once it gets to like 4 or 5, or actually all 6 of them, Peter's pretty fucked. But I would even argue that even an advanced Spider-Man might be able to take them all down. I don't know. I could be wrong, but at least in this iteration of the show, he seems to have his wits about him, where he's able to you get the upper hand very quickly with at least two of them in the picture. So that's really cool to see that our boy can handle that. And then the second part is finally the elephant in this whole show has been addressed, and that is the love triangle that Peter has put himself in consistently. And I really like that they finally addressed this pretty early on. Like we have this is episode 16, so I think we have like 6 episodes left, if I recall, before the season 2 ends. So it seems like they wanted to get ahead of this pretty quickly. Like, hey, we're not going to be doing the love triangle the entire rest of the season. So I'm really glad for that. I really appreciate that. And it's nice because, Peter's been going back and forth since the whole first season. And I'm sure that, if this show ever did get season 3 or season 4, season 5, I would say max probably 5 seasons as far as this show would run, as it being a cartoon, that they could have fleshed this out more. Had they known they were going to get canceled after season 2, they probably would have dialed back the love triangle a lot more. So I'll give them credit on that side. You don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know you're going to get greenlit tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to have a job tomorrow. Nobody knows. So, but that's not the point. The point is the love triangle's over. And I'm very glad to see that. But yeah, I think this was a very good episode. It actually got me craving more. Craving. Yeah, see what I did there? Craving the hunter. Anyways, yeah, it got me craving more Spectacular Spider-Man. I really wanted to jump into the next episode, and we'll just be continuing on as per usual. So we'll get on to the next few episodes, and then after we wrap up Spectacular Spider-Man in the next coming weeks, we'll be deciding on the next series that we're going to do next. So that'll be fun. That'll be pretty exciting. So anyways, yeah, I mean, overall, this was a solid episode. I don't really have any major complaints for once. Yeah, but that's it. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and if you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And if you care and you want more Spider-Man content, I cannot talk. I'm so sorry. If you want Spider-Man content from a dummy like me who can't talk and can't speak, then please like the video and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And that's gonna do it for me, guys. And just remember, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm Dual Dyer, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.